Beautiful, wasn't it? Oof. All right, so next up we have a spoken word piece by a young woman named Brittany Delany, and following that is a theatrical salute from the Central Alumni Acting Group. So let's clap up for them.
I first want to say that it's an honor to be on my home stage. And that I am grateful to have had the connections that I've had that made it possible for me to write a piece like this today. A lot of those connections were built here and in my time here, and I'm grateful. Remember riding on the impressions of the sea, lying on the splintered floor, on top, on side, on bottom, like quilted skin, brown glass eyes still, holding the tongue of our mothers deep in our taste buds, her smell captive in our pores. Remember crying in the melody of sameness, our traditions still spilling from our cheekbones and the bridging of our noses and the coiling of our hair. Remember, still feeling our soil between our toes, still humming the sound of our grandmothers, still within the drums of our ears, still Africa pumping in our veins. Remember the tortured romance of air leaving our lungs through the chains on our ankles, the sound of metal clasp kissing the floor of the water. Remember knowing they did not value our existence, that home was more than a swim away. Remember standing on the sands of our captors, the first time we learned America through the drag of whips cutting through our blackness, the first words our full lips uttered in English, feeling like poison the first time we looked at one another, fragmented, strange fruit now, dangled from trees, burned like incense, blending with the bark of shattered wood, our fingers turning to cotton, our children taken from our womb, our fathers drugged behind horses, our souls struggling to stay planted under a sky that reeks with dissension. Do you remember me, brother? Before your pride was whipped from your back by the very belt that holds your pants at the middle of your thighs, before the bars of systematic hatred tore your face from the structures of leadership, before they made you the greatest face of their fear, before they took you from home in the dark of night and posted your tennis-shoed feet on the corners, dipped your chains in gold and hung them about your neck like recycled nooses, stapled a price tag to your soul and sold you for a few hits. Do you remember me, sister? Before they sawed our hips from our sides, our width from our noses, our coils from our crowns, before they told us we weren't precious diamonds, dipped our essence in the ocean until our eyes filled with blue contacts, bleached our skin with pearls, turned trees to poles, dropped paper on us to remind us that we were bought and sold, reduced our curls to wave, and drowned our identity to straighten us out. Remember me, family. Before our fingertips were broken into affiliation, and African faces lied flesh with America between the anchors of white chalk outlines, and African hands lied cuffed to America between the anchors of white chalk outlines, and African spirituals lied broken in the songs of America between anchors of white chalk outlines, and African bodies lied under those standing their ground in America between white chalk outlines, before our tongues became the same whips that we lashed us, and master traded faces for spaces much higher in government, and we could no longer recognize the motherland beneath the scars of disenfranchisement before that boat sailed off with our hope, diluting our culture until we could no longer taste it, until we no longer wished to taste it, until we believed that it was no longer good to taste it. Remember me, same, holding on to you in the wind, promising to still love you, promising that we would find our way back home, promising that Africa would always be our heartbeat. We can't keep up this brokenness. When our healing lies between the holds of our hands, this is not our home. We are, remember me, connected.